Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, about 5 years ago, during the summer of 2018, I looked at Disney's The Brave Little Toaster for an 80s movie marathon, and like most people my age, I watched this movie a lot as a kid. And while there were a lot of dark scenes, especially this horrifying nightmare bit, it was still a cult childhood classic. However, while I was growing up during the 90s, little did I know that The Brave Little Toaster would get 2 direct-to-video sequels, which for some reason were released in the wrong chronological order here in America. So, anyway, for this episode, I'm gonna blog the first Brave Little Toaster sequel that I've watched and see if it's still as good as I remember. So, released to home video on May 19th, 1998, the movie is The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars. Now, on for the plot of the movie. In this film, after graduating college, Rob and Chris have married and now have a baby son named Robbie, who plays with Toaster, Blanky, Lampy, Radio, and Kirby just like his father did when he was little. But one night, tragedy strikes when baby Robbie gets mysteriously beamed to Mars. Now, our heroes, along with an overhead fan, a microwave oven, a calculator, and a hearing aid, have to figure out a way to blast off to Mars, rescue their little master from the clutches of obsolete appliances, and save Earth from certain destruction. So, what do I personally think of the film? Well, while it does bring back a lot of fond memories from the first film, it's not as good, but it's not bad either. But still, one of my childhood favorite animated sequels. And to further explain why I like this film, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, there's not a lot of trivia to say, other than the fact that, like the first film, this sequel was based off the book of the same name by Thomas M. Dish. Yeah, hard to believe that this film is canon with the book franchise, unlike To the Rescue. The animation was produced by Hyperion Pictures, who also helped with the animation for Rover Dangerfield, the Oz Kids, and of course, these Christmas specials. Also to note, this was the very first movie that I ever watched, which was mainly set on Mars. And yes, I have seen films like the original Total Recall, along with Mission to Mars, and, well, Mars Needs Moms. The latter 2 I've already blogged. Plus, the last reviewer who I know about who reviewed this movie before me was the cartoon hero. Also to note, not only does this film bring back a lot of fond memories from the first film, but it also includes several science facts. Some that are a bit inaccurate, and others that can be a bit too complicated that even I can't explain it. Now, in my opinion, the hand-drawn animation is actually pretty good, and I think this film's version of Mars looks very mysterious, and parts of it, to me, look like it came right out of a 1960s magazine. Also, I think Rob and Chris's new home, which is both a farm and an animal clinic, looks like a very nice place to live. And I like that the main appliances mostly hang out in the kitchen. And now, let's talk about the Wonderlux appliances. According to Tensalina, years ago, during a certain dark period, the Wonderlux appliances were originally built to fall apart, which they didn't like, and they also developed their dislike for humans. Wanting to last forever, they rebelled and escaped from the factory that they were built in. With the help of their leader, who was very brilliant in the mind and knew a lot about rocket propulsions, they built a rocket ship, blasted off into outer space, and landed on Mars. You know, This film was the very first time where I heard the term obsolescence, which was years later used in The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Also, since they still had a grudge against humanity, the Wonderlux appliances planned to destroy Earth with a huge missile as revenge for making them obsolete. Which to me makes them very similar to the Nazis. But thankfully, their plan was cancelled when Toaster and the gang helped them see the goodness in humanity. And now, let's move on to the film's songs. First is I See a New You, sung by Chris, whose singing voice is provided by Odette and Anya's singing voice, Liz Calloway, whom I've seen in person at the 2019 Swan Princess Pink Carpet event in Los Angeles. Now this song is heard during the sequence when Toaster and the other appliances gradually adjust to having a new baby in the house. To me, this song is absolutely sweet and heartwarming, and ever since my childhood, I saw this song as a beautiful lullaby, and I think this is the kind of song that any mother would sing to their newborn child. Plus, I love the parts where baby Robbie interact with Toaster and the gang. Plus, it usually gets me happy tears whenever I listen to it nowadays. Our next song is Floating, which is sung by various anthropomorphic balloons that Toaster and the gang encounter while traveling through space. To me, while this song is pretty much
a big lived alligator moment,
due to it being a bit pointless, I find this song to be pretty catchy, and I like the 3 backstory verses. By the way, in real life, balloons cannot float in space. You see, due to how thin the atmosphere is, a balloon can only rise up until the atmosphere surrounding it has the same weight as the helium inside the balloon. Next we come to the most political song in the entire film, Humans, which is performed during a campaign between Toaster and the Supreme Commander as they argue over whether humans are good or not. To me, this song is not technically my favorite, and it still isn't nowadays, due to how corrupt politicians have been getting nowadays after Mr. 45 came along. If only Hillary could have won years ago, because, believe it or not, I owed her for a certain note that she sent me when I became an Eagle Scout. Anyway, I think the most memorable part of the song is the part where Toaster and the Supreme Commander describe the positive and negative actions that humans do, like cheating, smiling, overeating, fighting, making messes, and other things. The last song to talk about is Home Again, sung by Toaster as he, the household appliances, and baby Robbie return home to Earth. To me, this song is very tender, and I like the parts where we see Rob and Chris in their everyday lives using Toaster and his friends around their house. Plus, I like that the song gets a reprise at the film's finale during Christmas time. And now, let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. The leader of the gang, Toaster, is once again voiced by Deanna Oliver, who's known for writing various episodes of Tiny Toon Adventures and Animaniacs, and she co-wrote Casper and My Favorite Martian. In my eyes, like in the first film, Toaster is a brave and optimistic character, and not long after warming up to baby Robbie, I like that Toaster declares that it'll be his and his friends' responsibility to see that no trouble comes to the little master, and that includes getting him back from Mars. Also, I thought Toaster's bravest moments in this movie was when he challenges the Supreme Commander in an election, and when he helps the hearing aid's brother stop the missile and save Earth from destruction. Next is Kirby the Vacuum Cleaner, voiced by the late Thurl Ravenscroft, best known as Tony the Tiger from the Frosted Flakes commercials, along with voicing one of the Phantom 5 bus from the Haunted Mansion ride, Buff the Buffalo Head from the Country Bear Jamboree, Fritz and Tangaroa from the Enchanted Tiki Room. He was also the Lethargians from Chuck Jones' The Phantom Toll Booth. He did monstrous sound effects from Pinocchio, and he sang in How the Grinch Stole Christmas. To me, Kirby is still cantankerous, but well-meaning at the same time, and I like that he's not as grumpy as he was in the first film, and I like that he's more laid back and closer to his fellow appliances. Next up is Lampy, the gooseneck lamp voiced by Timothy Stack, whom I only remember from Scary Movie 3 and My Name is Earl. To me, I like that Lampy is as outgoing as he was in the first film, and I like that he uses his electric cord and plug not just as a handy appendage, but during one scene, he tries to lasso baby Robbie only to get dragged up the stairs, which causes his plug to slip out and fall down the stairs, and later, he uses it as a boat motor, which kind of reminds me of what Putt-Putt does when riding a raft. Also to note, as a kid, Lampy introduced me to the term starboard side, which is the side of a ship or an aircraft that is on the right when one is facing forward. Next we have Radio, voiced by Roger Kabler, whom I kind of remember from the Rhythm and Blues sitcom show. To me, while Kabler is not as good as John Lovitz, I think he does a pretty good job at giving Radio a wisecracking personality. And I like that he helps out his fellow appliances whenever they need it. Also, I love the scene when Radio plays the Bread and Butter song by the New Beats. Next is Blanky, the electric blanket, voiced by Eric Lloyd, best known for playing Charlie Calvin in the Santa Claus trilogy, and he voiced Dorothy Gale's son, Nettie, in The Oz Kids. In this movie, while Blanky can still be a bit childlike, I like that he has matured slightly and he forms a bond with baby Robbie. Plus, I also like that Blanky makes it his prime directive to make sure that Robbie stays warm, hence why he stows away with the gang against Toaster's wishes. Next we come to Ratso, voiced by Andy Milder, whom was in Apollo 13. Now for those who may not know, Ratso was one of several animals that Rob kept in his lab at college, and after graduating, Ratso was taken to their new home with Toaster and the gang. In this film, after baby Robbie is mistakenly beamed to Mars, Ratso has to stay behind on Earth to keep the baby intercom at bay so that Rob and Chris are unaware of their baby's disappearance, and due to the fact that rats cannot breathe in space without oxygen. Next we come to the Master and Mistress, Rob and Chris, voiced by Chris Young and Jessica Tuck. Now in this movie, after graduating from college, Rob and Chris are a married couple, and Rob runs his own animal clinic. Plus, after receiving their newborn baby son, Robbie, they become proud and happy parents. Also, it should be noted that Rob never throws anything away. Next is their newborn baby, Robbie, vocalized by the late Minnie Mouse, Russi Taylor. To me, Robbie is absolutely adorable, and like his dad, he's one of the few humans who can actually see and interact with living appliances. Plus, like Jack Jack from The Incredibles, Robbie is pretty smart for an infant, especially during the scene where he started walking nearing the end of the movie, and when he brought the 5 main appliances in front of the Christmas tree. This is Hearing Aid, a character who lives in the junk drawer, voiced by the late Five-Bush Finkel, who narrated Aaron's Magic Village. Now this character is not the antagonist, but he starts out very mysterious and suspicious. You see, late one night, Hearing Aid is heard talking to someone from space who sent him a telecommunication. He was then invited to be beamed up to Mars for some unknown reason. However, Toaster and his friends intervene, and in the commotion, baby Robbie gets abducted instead. To me, I think Hearing Aid is a very knowledgeable character, and I think it's interesting that he knows about the unified field theory. Also, the movie reveals that he used to belong to Albert Einstein. Next is Hearing Aid's drawer mate, Calculator, voiced by Stephen Tobolsky, whom was in Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde, Garfield the Movie, The Country Bears, and of course Freaky Friday. This guy is a smart and adventurous character who serves as the coordinator of rescue during Toaster's mission to travel to Mars and rescue Robbie. Also, in the beginning of the movie, Calculator mentions that he's often taken out every April 14th to assist Rob with his taxes. Next we come to Wittgenstein, a prototype vacuum tube-based radio supercomputer voiced by Brian Doyle Murray, whom was in The Jungle Book, Mowgli's Story, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and of course, Underdogs. For those who don't know, Toaster and friends first met Wittgenstein during the time when Rob was studying to become a vet in college. He was abandoned in the basement due to him being outmoded when translators were invented, and later he got a terrible virus that infected his tubes, causing him to not function properly anymore. Thankfully, after Radio sacrificed himself to fix him, Wittgenstein was sent by Rob to a museum where he'll never be forgotten. Anyway, during this film, Toaster and the gang contact Wittgenstein via a computer for help in order for travel arrangements to Mars, and he tells them that the equipment they'll need to travel there are an overhead fan, a laundry basket, a microwave oven, and some microwave popcorn with cheddar cheese flavoring to help them fly. By the way, I never knew about microwave popcorn before I saw this movie as a kid. Also joining the gang on their mission is Fanny, an overhead fan voiced by Carol Channing, who provides the propulsion of the makeshift aircraft, and microwave oven voiced by Wayne Knight, who powers said aircraft using microwave popcorn. Another character to talk about is Tinselina, a Christmas angel voiced by Kat Susie. Years ago, she was put inside the famous Viking 1 by an unknown kid at NASA and was sent to Mars. To me, Tinselina would have to be my favorite character in this sequel, and in my opinion, she's kind, soft-spoken, knowledgeable, and sensitive, and I like that she serves as the appliance's guide on Mars. Plus, while she's never seen the top of a Christmas tree, she has a strong love for Christmas. Plus, I also like that she gives up her hair and her dress as substitute fuel in order for her and her new friends to get back to Earth. Finally, we come to the Supreme Commander, voiced by Alan King, whom I only remember from Rankin Bass's Pinocchio's Christmas. This character helped lead the Wonderlux appliances to rebel and escape to Mars. As mentioned earlier, the Supreme Commander is very brilliant in the head, and while he at first is in the form of a giant refrigerator, in reality, he's actually the Hearing Aid's long-lost brother, whom he has not seen in over 60 years. And it was also he who was contacting Hearing Aid on Earth. A long time ago, Albert Einstein absent-mindedly left him behind in the wake of World War II, during which he fell into the hands of a Nazi leader whose ideals influenced him, leading him to become disillusioned with mankind. When he got mixed in with the Wonderlux appliances, he assumed an alternate identity to rule through fear, which to me kind of makes him pretty similar to the Wizard of Oz. However, after Baby Robbie touched him, the Supreme Commander realized that not all humans are bad, so he decided not to destroy Earth after all, and he voted for Toaster as the new Supreme Commander. And now, on to my final words. Overall, The Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars is not a great sequel, but it's still a childhood favorite of mine. Yes, it does have some weirdness contained, and I like that it was canon with the original book series, as well as it trying to tell a story about the effects of planned obsolescence. Also, this film does bring back a lot of fond memories from the first film. The acting is decent, same for the animation. The main characters are still lovable and memorable. Some of the new characters were pretty good, like Hearing Aid, Baby Robbie, and Tinselina. And I thought the Supreme Commander, while partly antagonistic, had a very twisted reveal. Also, I thought some of the songs were alright, while two of them were not that favorable or necessary to me. With all that said, I think you viewers should check this movie out, either on DVD or on Disney Plus if it's there. As for my rating, I'll give it a 78% out of 100. Now, you may be asking, when am I going to blog to the rescue? Well, I'm not quite sure yet, but when I find the proper opportune time, I'll be sure to do it. Well, anyway, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog, where we return to Enchantia and reunite with some trolls who have an unexpected visitor. Mustang Power.